Ever feel like you could use like a happiness boost? You know, just a little more joy sprinkled into like your everyday life.
You and me both.
Yeah, right. Well, that is what we're diving into today. We've got this United Healthcare article, 7 simple ways to find joy every day. And let me tell you, it's packed with some really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, it really is. And it's not just about like fleeting happiness either. This article, it connects those like everyday actions, the things we can actually do, with some really compelling research on long-term well-being.
Totally. I saw that and I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. And it starts off talking about gratitude journaling. Honestly, when I first saw that, I was like, ugh, okay. I thought it was going to be a total snooze fest.
Yep. Well,
You know,
definitely.
we've all heard it before, right? Be grateful, be grateful, be grateful. But then it got into being specific with your gratitude.
Yeah.
And that's where it got really interesting for me. Like, what's the deal with that?
Well, it's like this. Instead of just, writing family in your gratitude journal, you write, my son's hug before school this morning, you know? That kind of detail, it's that specific sensory experience, it actually rewires your brain.
Really? So it like literally changes how your brain works.
Absolutely. By focusing on those positive moments and not just focusing on them, but focusing on them so vividly, what you're doing is you're strengthening the neural pathways that are associated with those positive emotions. So yeah, it's like building a muscle, but you're building a muscle for happiness.
Whoa, that's pretty amazing. So it's not just about like feeling good in the moment. It's like actually training your brain to like seek out the good stuff.
Exactly. And speaking of things that can shift our perspective,
Uh-huh.
the next point the article makes is about the power of nature.
Okay, yeah. I mean, a walk in the woods, that always does wonders for the soul. I have to admit, though, when I got to this part, I was like, what? Apparently, you don't even have to be in nature to get the benefits.
That's right.
I was floored by that.
It's true. Even just listening to nature sounds or watching nature videos can have a positive impact on our well-being.
Wait, seriously, how does that work?
Well, think about it. For most of human history, being surrounded by the sounds of nature, birds singing, things like that, that meant safety. It meant peace. It was a break from vigilance.
Hmm.
Our brains are still wired to respond that way. So the gentle rustling of leaves, a babbling brook, those sounds, they signal to our nervous system that we're safe. We can relax.
So it's like hitting the pause button on stress,
Yeah,
even if you're, in the middle of rush hour traffic.
exactly.
I love that. Okay, moving on. We've got to talk about that inner critic that I think everybody has. You know that one?
Yeah.
The one that just loves to point out your every flaw,
Oh, yeah. I know that voice all too well.
right? The article calls it Taming Your Inner Critic, From Judge to Coach. And it talks about how we can actually change those negative thought patterns. But like, is that really possible? I mean, some of those thoughts, they feel so hardwired. It's definitely not always easy, but it is absolutely possible. So the article talks about reframing that negative self-talk. So instead of saying, I completely messed that up, you might shift to, okay, that didn't go as planned, but what did I learn? What can I do differently next time?
Oh, so it's like taking that harsh judge and turning them into more of a supportive, like, mentor, someone who's actually on your team.
Exactly. And over time, those small shifts in language, they can create really profound changes in how we see ourselves and our capabilities.
Mhm.
It's about fostering self-compassion and a growth mindset.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's like we're kind of slowly like rewriting the script in our minds, you know,
Yeah.
becoming our own biggest cheerleaders instead of our own worst critics.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And, speaking of things that can boost our spirits, the next point the article highlights really emphasizes getting outside of ourselves and focusing on others. It's about volunteering.
Volunteering. Okay, I know it's supposed to be a good thing to do, but I'll be honest. Sometimes it feels like I barely have enough time for myself, let alone to like give back to others. So what's so amazing about it that makes it worth like squeezing into our busy schedules?
Well, it's amazing because it turns out altruism isn't just about being selfless. It's actually a powerful pathway to greater well-being.
For the giver.
For the giver, really.
Yes. When we help others, our brains release endorphins. Those are those feel-good chemicals that not only boost our mood, but can even have pain-reducing effects. And on top of that, volunteering often leads to deeper social connections, which we already know are so crucial for happiness.
So it's like this beautiful cycle of giving
Yeah,
that ends up giving back to you in these incredible ways.
exactly. And this sense of interconnectedness, of being part of something larger than ourselves, that can be profoundly rewarding. And while we're on the topic of things that make us feel good, the article also dives into exercise. Okay, exercise. I have a love-hate relationship with that word. But the article really emphasizes its power, calling it your body's happy pill. It even says it can be as effective as medication for some people when it comes to boosting mood. That's a pretty bold statement. What's going on in our brains when we break a sweat that makes it such a mood booster?
Well, beyond the endorphins we were just talking about, exercise has a remarkable impact on our brain chemistry in general. It increases levels of serotonin and dopamine, two neurotransmitters that play a huge role in regulating our mood, our motivation, even our ability to feel pleasure.
Okay, so it's like a natural mood-boosting cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about feeling good in the moment, but what about long-term impacts?
This is where it gets even more interesting. Regular exercise, it doesn't just provide a temporary mood boost. It can actually lead to lasting changes in the structure and function of our brains.
Mm.
It's like hitting the upgrade button on our resilience to stress and boosting our overall cognitive health.
Wow, so it's like giving our brains a workout too, not just our bodies.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. Gratitude, connecting with nature, reframing negative self-talk, volunteering, and now exercise. It's a lot to process.
Maybe we should talk about something a little more
Well,
restful.
I think that's a perfect segue into the next point.
Okay.
This is where the importance of sleep comes in.
Sleep. Music to my ears. I am one of those people who, I swear I could always use just a little more sleep.
I hear you.
Yeah. But this article, it really drives home how important it is for our mood. It calls sleep the underrated key to a brighter outlook. And it's not even just about quantity, right? It's the quality of our sleep that matters too, maybe even more. So what did the article say about improving our sleep hygiene?
Well, it had some excellent tips in there. One of the simplest, but honestly one of the most effective, is sticking to a consistent sleep schedule, even on the weekends.
Okay, so that means no sleeping in, even on weekends.
I know. It sounds tough. Weekends are for sleeping in, right?
But when we keep our sleep and wake times consistent, what that does is it helps regulate our body's natural sleep-wake cycle, which in turn can significantly improve the quality of our sleep.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like setting an internal alarm clock, but one that actually works with your body instead of against it.
Yes, exactly. And the article also talked about how important it is to create a relaxing bedtime routine.
Oh, you mean like a little pre-sleep ritual? I'm all about that. What else did they say?
Well, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. It could be as simple as putting away your screens an hour before bed, taking a warm bath, or maybe reading a book. It's all about signaling to your mind and body that, okay, it's time to start winding down.
It's like setting the mood for sleep, just like you would for any other relaxing evening activity.
Exactly. And then, of course, just the basics. Making sure that your bedroom is dark, quiet, and cool. That can do wonders for sleep quality.
Oh man, you're making me want to go take a nap right now.
Anytime.
All right. Last but not least, the article talks about the importance of connection for boosting happiness.
Yes. This one really resonated with me, too, because it's not just about those deep, meaningful conversations. You know the ones I'm talking about. We always think those are the ones that matter.
The ones where you solve all the world's problems.
Right. And don't get me wrong, those are great. But sometimes you just want to share a laugh with a friend. You don't want to dissect the meaning of life.
Exactly.
The article highlighted how connection can take so many forms. It could be joining a club or a group, based on a shared interest. It could be going to a concert with a friend. Even just those little moments of connection with colleagues at work, laughing over coffee in the break room.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's about those little moments where you feel seen, heard, understood, and it doesn't even have to be face-to-face either.
Right.
Like a phone call with a friend who lives far away, or even a heartfelt text message. Those little gestures, I feel like they can go a long way.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. It's about nurturing those bonds that bring us joy and make us feel supported.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I have a whole toolkit now for finding more joy in everyday life.
What I love about all these tips is that they're not these big, huge, sweeping changes that you have to make in your life.
Yeah.
They're small, manageable steps. Things we can all do each day to cultivate more happiness.
It's not about waiting for happiness to find you. It's about, actively creating it for yourself.
Yes.
And on that note, I want to hear from you. Which of these tips resonated with you the most? What's one thing you can do, today, to bring more joy into your life? Let us know. And remember, even small changes can make a big difference.